In this clip, I will provide a brief overview of the methodology. A mixed methods approach was used for the study. I employed a triangulation matrix and design for multiple methods, largely inspired by the work of two tenured GSU professors. Pierre Junior Clark in secondary math education, and my qualitative research design in education professor Janice Vernelier. Survey. The 18-question survey was developed using GSU's Qualtrics account. Recruitment. After approval from IRB, participants were recruited from a pool of more than 100 GSU students who had participated in one of two IVEs for which I served as a research assistant. After that, I reached out to professors and facilitators of IVE that I found through the Atlanta Global Studies Center, IVAC, the International Virtual Exchange Conference, or Unicollaboration, an international coalition of IVE practitioners, of which I am a council member. Survey instrument. The survey consisted of a consent form and 2 member-checking questions, followed by 3 questions about the students' exchange. All respondents then were asked to rate their overall IVE experience on a Likert scale. The remaining 12 questions were either socio-demographic or designed to determine the student's previous exposure to diversity and international travel. The survey had 3 functions: to gather socio-demographic information, to obtain feedback on the student's exchange experience, and to find interview participants. Interview phase. The interview phase lasted 7 weeks. All interviews were conducted using my personal Zoom account. Design. The interviews were semi-structured and followed a guide based on influences from readings in my methods coursework. The guide juxtaposed questions next to related theories, research questions, and my overall intended line of inquiry, the pilot. To prepare, I conducted a pilot interview with a PhD cohort in Canada who had participated in an IVE within the 3-year period. Recruitment. Participants were all previous survey takers who agreed to provide contact information at the end of the survey for a possible interview. The scheduling. I reached out to all of those students and invited them by email to schedule an interview using a doodle poll. The interviews. All survey takers who agreed to an interview were interviewed. The final number, excluding the pilot, was 6. All interviews were recorded and lasted from 34 minutes to 1 hour and 5. It was at this stage that I learned the most from the students. In addition to communication scholars, my research and interviews were informed by sociologists such as William Julius Wilson, Nancy Denton, Douglas Massey, and others who wrote extensively about hypersegregation, particularly in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. In the interviews, I sought to learn how the dialogues, the contact, and exchange of the IVE experience influenced the identity of underrepresented students and their interest in language acquisition, international travel, global studies, and global research and careers. Other methods. In addition to the survey and interviews, I reviewed comments and notes in the archives from Top Hat Slate, a student exchange platform that I used as a research assistant to a large-scale IVE involving students from GSU and their counterparts in Hong Kong and China. Lastly, as covered in the preface, my international travels, particularly my living abroad as a Black American kindergartner on the Tachikawa Air Force Base outside of Tokyo, Japan, and decades later, my life and work as an English language tutor to the grandchildren of a racially and culturally diverse family in suburban Paris, France, have influenced many aspects of this work. This concludes my recorded methodology report.